Guys, we got a massive leak. This is, of course, an internal conversation. This guy right here, he's the upper management of ONVO, used to be upper management for NIO, and he's also the first ever ONVO owner. He took delivery of the car just a few days ago. That's him right there, and he's also responsible for sales and basically managing all the different store managers, stores, etc. And this conversation was leaked. Also in this video, we're going to talk about the different competition that ONVO and NIO will be facing in the latter half of this year. So what does this leak message say? So the first sentence, it says, all ONVO store managers pay attention. NIO's historic pre-sale estimated price has always been the actual launch price. Please do not spread predictions about prices being lower for the ONVO L60. The ONVO L60 will only be 30,000 RMB cheaper than the Model Y. Before we go into the second part of this leaked message, basically that means that the launch price of 219,900 RMB is going to be the final price. All right, it's not going to be cheaper than that. And if you guys remember, the receipt was also leaked, which was also that exact same price. So they're not going to make this car cheaper at launch. So he really doesn't want consumers to have lower expectations than that price. And so there will be no surprises. I think the only surprise will be the BAS pricing. Is BAS going to reduce that price down by 70,000 RMB? Or is it going to be reduced down by 50,000 RMB? So that's going to be interesting. All right, the second part says, we are getting closer and closer to launch, which is definitely good news, and interest has increased. So interest for the car has increased. There will be many people with vile intentions that will try to destroy our momentum. All right, and then let's not mislead customers or confuse customers by giving them lower expectations for the pricing. Now, people online were expecting this car to be priced at 200k RMB exact, so probably around 20,000 cheaper than that launch price, and also the BAS pricing to be around 150k RMB. So also there might be some disappointment, so to speak, when people see that this is the actual price of this car. Will this affect sales? Most likely not if they're actually committed to buying a battery swappable EV. But this definitely does give them some room to do more incentives and also in the future make price adjustments likewise. And they really need to see how the car behaves and how the car sells. If they're not doing that well, of course, they're going to boost incentives, maybe cut prices, etc. But so far, it doesn't seem like this is going to absolutely flip the table and be like a insanely cheap car. But the BAS version, all right, renting the battery could possibly do that. It could possibly still flip the table and just be like, holy crap, that's a no-brainer buy. One of the first cars that will come out around that time period will be the Zeekr 7X. Now, Zeekr, pure electric car, they're actually selling quite well in Europe. And here in China as well, they're actually doing quite well. And sales are basically neck and neck with NIO. Although Zeekr's average selling price is a lot cheaper than NIO, this car, the 7X, Zeekr's first SUV, is most likely going to sell well as well, okay? But that pricing for this car is most likely in the 300k plus territory. Most likely, it's going to impact the ES6 and the EC6 more than ONVO. ONVO is going to be cheaper, but this is going to be around just a few notches above the ONVO pricing. It could definitely have an impact on ONVO, but I think the impact will be more for NIO. Now, the next car, which will come out later this year, rumored, here in China, it's rumored to be coming later this year, even though the person, the CEO, said it's not coming this year is, of course, none other than the Tesla Model Y Juniper. There's actually so many leaks about this online. And this car is perhaps the car with the biggest impact, potential impact, because ONVO 60, the entire philosophy behind the ONVO 60 is a Model Y that can do battery swap, but more comfortable and better. And it just overall a Model Y, basically. But the whole time you're comparing the ONVO against the current generation Model Y, what happens when the newer generation Model Y rolls around? How is that going to compare to ONVO 60? That's the big question. That's the big question that a lot of consumers are waiting to see. And they're waiting for these two cars to be compared, the ONVO 60 and the newer generation Juniper Model Y. And whichever one comes on top, that's the one that's going to get a lot of sales. But before that happens, right now, the current generation Model Y doesn't stand a chance against the ONVO 60. So before the new Juniper Model Y comes out, ONVO is going to have a heyday. But there's also another car. This car, the Xiaomi SU8 or the MX-11. Now this car is very interesting because this is actually modeled against the Ferrari Pro Sangue, which is very, very interesting. And the Xiaomi SU7 right now is actually selling very, very well, okay? And they have a lot of orders backlogged. And it seems fair to assume that this car is also going to sell well. It's mostly driven by design. You know, the SU7 copied Porsche, and it's a successful formula. People love it. It's cheap, and you got that stylish, good look. And then the SU8 or MX-11 is going to copy the Ferrari Pro Sangue. That car is super expensive, and that is most likely going to be successful. You know, earlier this year, a few months ago, Xiaomi CEO went and visited NIO CEO and saw the ONVO 60. And NIO CEO said the SU7 is going to kill off, well, not kill off, but seriously disrupt the Model 3. Do you believe that the ONVO 60 can seriously disrupt the Model Y? And Xiaomi CEO refused to answer that question. He said, you got to give me a test drive first. Of course, the reason he didn't answer that question is because Xiaomi's own SUV, right, this pure sangue lookalike, Ferrari lookalike, SU8 is coming. This will also most likely be a hot seller, but the pricing will probably be more expensive than the ONVO L60. But the ONVO L60 will still sell tremendously well because of battery swap. That's reason number one. And number two, because with BAS, battery rental, you're able to get the price from 220K down to 150K RMB or 170K RMB, which is much, much more mass market and affordable by basically everybody. So everybody's going to be able to afford an ONVO L60. And depending on what kind of perks that ONVO decides to offer, the ONVO will probably be the more economical choice out of all these other competitors that are coming very soon. So what is the price going to be with battery rental? That is the biggest question that we all have. And also, what kind of perks will they offer? If it's great perks and the price is cheap, 150K, 160K RMB, that will certainly flip the table. All right, that will 100% flip the table. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.